Good morning. As I spoke about not too many weeks ago, I've experienced a change in my life regarding stewardship, and I walked you kind of back into some of that. So for some of you that don't recall that, I'll jump back just a little bit. My giving to God was giving because the church simply asked, and now I'm an adult and I need to give. What I missed was that I needed to be giving to God to show thanks for His grace and His love. What I missed was that God performs great deeds through each and every one of us every day, and I need to show my thanks by giving to God. What I have learned and what I want to reiterate is that stewardship is not about fundraising, but rather it is about the joyful and faithful giving of money to God. This is a very, very personal matter. Part of what I'm going to talk about next comes from Herb Miller's Nuggets, and I referred to that before, and I've written it up in the newsletter. So I'm going to take a couple excerpts, and these are pieces that have affected me, and I wanted to share with you. One of them regards money's personality. Money is the root of all evil. It says that in the Bible, doesn't it? Well, not exactly. Neither the Bible nor Jesus disapproves of wealth. Money in itself is not evil. Otherwise, Jesus would have rejected the hospitality and friendship of wealthy people. However, Jesus warned that money is a dangerous way to extend our personalities. You could take the story of the prodigal son who wanted his share of what was to be his someday, and how he took it and used it and squandered it in destructive ways. That's Luke 15:12 if you care to look it up. No one can serve two masters, for you will hate one and love the other. You will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. That's in Luke 16:13. I also want to make sure that you remember from what I spoke a few weeks back, that God spoke in the Bible, that Jesus spoke more in the Bible, 2,000 times about money. More times than he spoke about faith. Did you know that the Spartans of ancient Greece minted their money in heavy iron discs rather than small silver coins, so that they could be reminded that money is a burden. It's heavy. It's not just a privilege. So being preoccupied with money can block us from the quality of life that comes from focusing our attention on God. Another part from Herb Miller is about investing in God. And as I've spoke about previously, money is amoral. There are many things that exist that are similar. A glove. If you were to take a glove and just lay it down on the desk, it does nothing until you put yourself into it. You can do great things with it. You can build homes with it. Or you can grab and greed with it. That's up to you. You're the ones who affect it. Something else that came up through this that I found really interesting was that there's a part about animal sacrifices. And those are one of the most difficult rituals to understand, in which people show their spirituality for God. Is it extreme? Maybe by today's standards, but that point is offering your best sheep or your best calf is a way to sacrifice your own self-centeredness. Today, giving money to the church performs that same function. For where your treasure is, your heart will be also. That's Luke 12:34. A church is not a business whose goal it is to make money, but rather a church is a business to make people. A church, this church, is a place built by people, and in this community that we preach the Word of God and spread the Word of God in this church. Stewardship is the spiritual and faithful giving and offering to God, and it's very personal, as I said. By giving to this church, you are making a personal decision to help this church preach and spread the Word of God. Stewardship is not a matter between you and me or you and the church, but rather is a matter between you and God. And as I said earlier, with some research that I've done, I've been greatly affected, and my personal gifting priorities have changed. when I learned what I've just spoken about and what I've spoken about in the past, this is when I knew that I had had the wrong mindset. I now understand better. For me, I'm speaking from my own personal interpretation of stewardship. So regardless of what is going on around us, don't let that distract from what is really important. Regardless of what seems to distract us, don't forget that you come to this church as an individual, as a family, as a member of this congregation, to worship God and to give to God. On October 28th, in a few weeks from now, it'll be Consecration Sunday. This is the day that we will come together and publicly consecrate our gifts of God. In the coming days, you will receive a letter or a card that will show you what it is that you have pledged in years past and what it is that you can consider pledging. I ask you to pray on this, to consider this. And then when you come to church on the 28th, we will pass out more cards in which you will sit and pray. And then you will bring them up to the front of the church and you will put them in our symbolic house of God. And this will be a joyous day of celebration. Please make sure that you're here on that Sunday, if at all possible, and join us in that celebration. And to be part of something, something monumental as pledging your gifts to God. Thank you.